Great. Welcome everybody. On behalf of our colleagues from UNDP, Ocean Innovation Challenge, colleagues from University of Surrey and MRIC, very warm welcome to this final dissemination of NEREUS project. It has been 2 years we've been collaborating with Dr. Gida and her team. So I am Dr. Vikram Biswanath from the MRIC, and again wish you a warm welcome. Without any further delay, I'd like to kindly request our colleagues from Mauritius to give a 2-3 second introduction. Currently, we had sent invitations to all relevant stakeholders in this project, and to the latest news, some 25 colleagues have responded positively. So I'd kindly request very shortly if each one of us could open the mics, open the videos, just say hello, from which organization you are, and then pass on to the next. So I start with myself. So Dr. Vikram Biswanath, co-project investigator. I'm from the MRIC. Very happy to be here. I'll pass on to the next Mauritian colleague, Keshav. Yeah, please.
Hi, good morning. I'm from University of Mascaret. It's nice to be here to follow the updates on the project.
Thank you. Next colleague from Mauritius. So Université de Mascaret is one of our top universities here in Mauritius. Mr. Jogi.
Hi, I'm DJ Sinjogi from the University of Mauritius. So I'm a lecturer at the Department of Civil Engineering. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Captain Mangru on board, close collaborator again on the NEREUS project.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Inspector Mangru, posted at the National Coast Guard Operations Room as a Staff Officer Operation. So it's a pleasure to be here among you. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Norbert from the University of Mauritius. You are on mute, Manta.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Manta Albert. I'm from the University of Mauritius. Very pleased to be among you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one. Nitish, maybe you can say hello while waiting for the others.
Yes, hi. I hope you can hear me. So I'm Nitish from MRIC, and happy to see everybody on board.
Great. I guess we have all our colleagues from Mauritius. Others will join. Maybe, yeah, we have some more people. We have Mr. Supasad from ICTA. Mr. Supasad, please.
Yes, hello everyone. This is Mr. Yanish Supasad from the ICTA. So I'm glad to be here today for this session. Thank you.
And for your information, ICTA is the regulator here in Mauritius for information communication and telecommunications. We have Mr. Gangaram, who is, I don't know whether he can just say hello rapidly. He's a new intern from the MRIC. Mr. Captain Dowlat from the Mauritius Ports Authority. Yeah. Well, I think we can hand over to Ahmed for the short introduction, and then we can start the program. Ahmed, over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for Vikram for this for the preparation of this important final meeting for this innovative project, and in behalf of Dr. Mary Matthew, the Ocean Innovation Challenge Program and UNDP, I would like to welcome you all in this meeting and I'm really happy to start this meeting or to reach this to see the innovation project, the results of this innovation project about space-based maritime surveillance system for fisheries monitoring and anomaly detection in Mauritius. And this project is one of 9 innovation projects for Ocean Innovation Challenge Cohort 2 on sustainable fisheries management. And OIC is a UNDP initiative to scale up the implementation of the SDG 14, Life Below Water. And thanks to the financial support from both SIDA and NORAD for this call, so the second call for sustainable fisheries, who allowed us to run and reach out the good result that we will see today about one of the major issues that facing the fisheries management, which is the IUU fishing, the unregulated and unreported fishing. And I would like to thank both Surrey Space Centre, Dr. Rafaela and her team, and also the Mauritius Center for Innovation, for Mauritius Innovation Center, Maritime Innovation Center, for their collaboration and support and dedication to implement this project. And as I said, what we will gonna see today is innovative in using the modern technology in satellite images in detecting the IUU fishing, and I hope that this model can be replicated in other countries, because not only Mauritius is suffering from this IUU fishing challenge, but many other countries. And I hope the results and that we will see today will be encouraging other countries to join this project and to replicate and upscale this project in the future. I am happy to be part of this innovation, and I would like to thank the team from OIC also, the secretariat, Mary, and the project manager or the program manager, and all my colleagues from the comms team and Almari and Lana, who are working together with the team from both Surrey Space Centre and Mauritius Institute to help and to go together hand in hand to achieve this innovative project. I will not say much, because I want to give the floor to the technical team to let us see how they reached out these results and what can be done for the sustainability and upscaling for this project in the future. And I would like to thank you all for all the stakeholders from Mauritius, from the local authorities who cooperate and coordinate in this project, and wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you all, and the floor is yours, Vikram.
Thank you again, Ahmed. Yes, so on behalf of our executive director, who apologizes for not being able to be here today, he has other commitments. I'd like to give a short introduction to this meeting. So a message that has been transmitted to me by our executive director. So just a little short message from him. The Mauritius Research and Innovation Council, we are a body operating under the aegis of the Ministry of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation. And our main role is to advise government in all matters pertaining to science, research, technology, and innovation. As one of our main missions, we look to engage into new and pioneering ventures. And this is how in 2018, we engaged into the UNOSA JAXA KiboCube program, where we wrote together with our collaborator from AAC Clyde Space. By the way, I think there is one of the representatives of the AAC Clyde Space and other international collaborators from JAXA, from UNOSA, and I think there are a few on this meeting today, which and I seize the opportunity to say hello to them. So thanks to all this collaboration, Mauritius, for the first time in its history, became spacefaring by sending its first nanosatellite in space in 2021. And from there on, a whole new world sort of opened to us because we realized what space can do for us as a small island developing state. And from 2021, we've been actively looking into how Mauritius, the Republic of Mauritius, could use space and satellite technology in a sustainable and peaceful manner. And this is how, among one of our outreach exercises, we got to meet up with Dr. Rafael Aguida, and we decided to focus on illegal and unreported fishing in Mauritius. How, as an island developing state with a large EEZ of 2.4 million approximately square kilometer of EEZ, could space and satellite data help us better address this issue? And from there, it has been a sort of a great adventure which started. We got to know what is being done here in Mauritius, especially with satellite data, not only in the maritime region, but in other aspects such as agriculture, such as the meteorological services, etc. So it was all these culminated to us having putting up the new space agenda for Mauritius. And our final objective is one day to see our space initiative grow into the Mauritius Space Agency. But this is a long-term vision. Coming back to our collaboration with Dr. Guida, it was a whole really enriching experience where we got to meet with great collaborators from the National Coast Guard, from University of Mauritius, the continental shelf, the Prime Minister's office. We got lots and lots of support from the PMO and also Ministry of Fisheries, Albion Fishery Research Centre. So all these good people came together and collaborated to produce the result, which from our part, which Rafaela will present in a short way, and short time, I will also talk about the sustainability. So I'll end my short introductory speech here by thanking, first of all, the Ocean Innovation Challenge team, Dr. Mary Matthews, Mr. Ahmed, Dr. Ahmed, who has been really phenomenal in their help to help us bring this project forward. All the team, Dr. Guida and Max, our good friends now who have been really relentlessly collaborating with us, and my research assistant, Dr. Nitish Raghumandan, all the Mauritian stakeholders from Albion Fisheries Centre, National Coast Guard, Mauritius Police Force, Prime Minister's Office, all those who I have missed, sorry for that, but thank you very much. And this is the beginning of a whole new journey, and we'll have some more news from Rafaela. So thank you very much, Rafaela. Please, over to you to start the meeting.
Thanks very much, Vikram, and thanks everyone for being with us today, not only to look at what we have done, but also to celebrate the big milestones. We haven't introduced everyone in the call today, so I would like just to introduce the wonderful people at the Surrey Space Centre, which I had the privilege to work with. Some of them will present with me today, some will not, but they all contributed in different ways to the success of NEREUS. We have Dr. Maximilian Kersulek, a research fellow at the University of Surrey, the Surrey Space Centre, Mr. Ali Nai, who contributed to the delivery of training on NEREUS, and Mr. John Papadopoulos, master student at the University of Surrey, but also research technician working at ship detection. So my really gratitude to them to help in the different aspects of the project, and would also like to thank colleagues from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, with whom we had a great conversation in the past days, starting the next journey, starting to understand how we can scale up NEREUS in other regions. I know there are a lot of other people online, cannot see anyone now with the slides shared. So thanks everyone really for being here with us. So I'm starting looking now together with you at the innovation that NEREUS has brought in less than 2 years since we started. So it's important that to understand that innovation, we have a quick recap of the outcomes we set for NEREUS at the very beginning of this journey, because in what we proposed, we already had innovation, elements of innovation. So it was already recapped by Hama, thanks for that. But this is a project funded by the Ocean Innovation Challenge, looking into innovations worldwide that could accelerate the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal 14, which is all about the life below water, and was one of the least funded SDG, the least funded SDG in the sustainability agenda. So particular emphasis was given at the time of our specific competition to sustainable fishing, to support small-scale fishers, and in general to solutions that could increase the economic benefits from sustainable use of marine resources. So very focused on SDG 14, but I have to say the project clearly contributed through its 4 outcomes to other SDG in the sustainability agenda. So it has fostered innovation, so was definitely contributing to SDG 9, has promoted sustainable economic growth, contributing to SDG 8, but also has improved the management of marine resources, has provided education, so has reduced inequalities within and among countries, which is all we have in SDG 10. NEREUS has helped in making institutions more accountable and thus promoting more peaceful and inclusive societies, which is SDG 16. And at the same time, these achievements have been possible thanks to a commitment to strengthen partnerships in Mauritius and beyond, as I could mention at the beginning, which is what we have in SDG 17. So definitely focus on 14, but you can see in a moment how it contributed to the sustainability agenda more in general. So looking closely at the outcomes we set for this project. So as regard outcome 1, we really wanted to quantify the extent of illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. There was no estimate of this threat in Mauritius, and not even of its economic impact. So the outcomes themselves contained these elements of innovation in this sense. And when we go to outcome 2, while local authorities made use of different platforms, surveillance platforms, these were limited in real-time operations of functionalities or in sharing just the most pertinent information. Often a lot of information was available, but not really provided in a way to facilitate decision-making, which was really one of our key points. And on outcome 3, NEREUS started from an in-depth reading of policies and regulatory framework, even if the team was mainly a team of engineers, so that required a lot of effort from our side. But policies and regulatory frameworks in the area of fishing in the Indian Ocean, with particular attention to tuna stock, as tuna was one of the species more at risk of overfishing. And one of the gaps we found was that, for example, the catch limit imposed on a species at risk, like tuna. Clearly, example are the yellowfin tuna and the big eye tuna. This catch limit was determined through a stock assessment, mainly based on models without a real in-field assessment, and fisheries-dependent data only. So one of the problems was that this data did not consider any IUU component because nobody ever calculated it. On outcome 4, something also never estimated before was really what the economic recovery, the possible economic recovery was, simply because the typical, the very specific solution we propose, a satellite-based solution, was never implemented in the way we are showing in a moment. So let's look now better at all this innovation in a simplified way. So NEREUS has, first of all, introduced offline and real-time functionalities, which is something not really available today in a surveillance platform. We have introduced an innovative data fusion approach, which really sets at the intersection of space technology, artificial intelligence, and sustainability, as you, of course, are becoming more aware of, specifically looking into anomalies and anything that was anomalous in fishing patterns. From our experience, all this technology may sound very complicated to understand to end user, and we really wanted the local buy-in. We really wanted to make sure people felt they could use the technology and the products. So one of the benefits of this close partnership was the possibility to understand what people were using in Mauritius, understand what the challenges were in the current state, and make sure we were looking into designing user-friendly products, able just to pass information that was actionable. This study, this research also allows us to make these first estimates of economic losses due to IUU fishing in Mauritius. As mentioned before, there wasn't anything like this. We have followed a very rigorous methodology based on FAO guidelines. And because we never like making big statements, we also had in mind to pass a message on conservative economic losses, just to make sure that what we were saying was absolutely true. The tool has developed is also extremely important, not only because it is passing just actionable information, but because it is allowing a better use of national resources. It's the only tool that is able to the dark heat maps to inform the patrolling services on areas that are more at risk and that needs to be prioritized in the exclusive economic zone of a country. Even if we are not looking specifically at the implementation of policies in the environmental sector, the way the NEREUS tool has been developed has automatically also allowed an improved catch indicator that is based on fishery independent data, not just a propagation of a model based on data passed by fishers. So we are able now to get an indication of catch that wouldn't be possible otherwise. In the effort of avoiding reinventing the wheel, we always kept dialogues also with the current platform providers to understand what was really new and innovative in the tool. And one of the aspects was definitely the fact that NEREUS products can be produced also in dense shipping environment, that they make use of the most advanced satellite data like the synthetic aperture radar and the automatic identification system. I'll now hand over to Max, which will present more closely the specific functionalities and the products that the tool is generating. And then I will come back to describe more on the impact that we have already achieved and that we hope to achieve even more in the next months. Over to you, Max.
Thank you, Raffaella. So I'm going to spend about 10 minutes highlighting some of the key results and some of the key parts of the methodology, which you can find full details of in the report output 2.2. Next slide, please, Raffaella. So the NEREUS tool is made up of 3 core components. And these components include the dark heat map generation. This detects historical anomalies in satellite data. Ship trajectory prediction, which is all about forecasting trajectories and tasking suspicious activity. And finally, enhanced maritime situational picture. So this detects anomalies in the same way as the dark heat map generation does, but on a timescale that is operationally relevant. And, sorry, previous slide, thanks. And an important point to make here is that the dark heat map generation workflow plays a really key part in the other 2 components. So firstly, it influences the ship trajectory prediction by incorporating potential high-risk areas into the contextual analysis, and I'll explain what that means later. And secondly, it enhances the maritime situational picture by directing new satellite data acquisition efforts towards these dark hotspots that you see, which can then be cross-checked against previous data to provide insight into the latest maritime movements and emerging trends. Next slide, please. So starting with dark heat map generation, this is an offline anomaly detection process. It analyzes historical SAR and AIS data to pinpoint discrepancies, which are essentially areas where we see frequent mismatching between the satellite data. And we do this to try and identify critical areas for IUU fishing risk mitigation. So the impact here is that authorities can utilize this type of product for informed maritime domain awareness by setting specific risk thresholds based on this type of satellite intelligence. Next slide, please. So the methodology of the dark heat map generation is quite involved, but can be simplified into 3 main steps. And this includes data processing of the satellite data, data association, and then density map generation, which is where we create the visualization of the results. So the most notable step is the data association, and this correlates the AIS data with the SAR ship detections. This uses a rank-ordered assignment technique in order to provide robust matching between the data and to mitigate the number of misassociations, especially in dense shipping environments. This essentially works by allowing the ranked assignments to compete with one another, as you see on the right-hand side figure, and update to a better match if available. And then finally, a density map is generated based on the unassigned SAR ship detections, or dark vessels, as they're more commonly known. And this method, in fact, is commonly used in crime mapping and is particularly well suited for understanding spatial patterns associated with these hotspots of dark vessels. Next slide, please. So in this slide is shown a dark zone density map for December 2022 in the study area. This type of product can really reveal some interesting observations and patterns. These are shown by the purple hash squares on the right-hand side figure. So for example, there are multiple instances where dark vessels are grouped together in pairs, potentially indicating transshipment activity. And we also see a lot of instances where AIS beacons are transmitting, signifying the presence of a drifting longline fishing vessel usually, but the AIS signal from the vessel itself is absent. And at the same time, SAR detections are identified but remain unassigned, affirming the existence of sometimes multiple non-reporting or dark vessels. So this really highlights the strength of using SAR data in detecting underreported maritime activities. Next slide, please. This slide shows another dark zone density map for the Sayadimala fishing bank over a 6-month period. This example shows a type of density map which is an example of focused satellite monitoring using high resolution data. And we can produce monthly, annual, or seasonal heat maps to identify regions more susceptible to IUU activities. And this analysis was of great interest to local stakeholders in Mauritius, as it really demonstrated the value of these heat map products in regional fisheries management. Next slide, please. This slide shows a quick comparison with Global Fishing Watch and their maps. And here is a comparison of dark hotspots with the GFW data, which essentially reveals substantial underreported fishing activities, particularly in the southern eastern sector of the study area, which again further highlights the usefulness of these types of products, these heat maps. Next slide, please. So the next core component is the ship trajectory prediction. This is a near real-time workflow that is designed for integration into satellite-based tipping queue services. And at its core is a trajectory prediction model, which is designed to respond to anomalous events such as abnormal AIS track deviations and AIS shut-off events, which An AIS shut-off event essentially signifies the absence of AIS transmissions from a vessel for some predefined duration, so usually 30 minutes. The goal here is to try and enable end users to efficiently identify these types of anomalies within the constraints of their limited time and resources. Next slide, please. So the biggest innovation is in the AIS shut-off scenario, which is demonstrated here. So this is where initially the model takes the ship's trajectory leading up to the shut-off event as an input into the model. And then the model will generate a trajectory prediction for some user-defined period. And this is currently set to 2.5 hours into the future. Next, a contextual analysis is performed. So this is where if the predicted trajectory is expected to approach areas such as marine protected areas or heat map dark hotspots that we identified from the dark heat map generation or the historical analysis, then the vessel is marked as a high priority anomaly. In step 4, further actions are taken in response to this detected anomaly, which may involve satellite, either SAR or perhaps optical tasking, as well as on-ground investigation. And this satellite tasking can reveal new information, such as the presence of other dark vessels, which can then be subjected to further analysis. Next slide, please. So here is a quick real-world example to demonstrate the effectiveness of the model. So in December 2022, a fishing vessel was left stranded on the reefs of St. Brandon, which is a few hundred kilometers northeast of Mauritius. And we use this incident as a type of case study. So the model analyzed the historical AIS data from this anomalous incident to determine if it could have offered any predictive insights. So these figures here show the outcome, where the model successfully predicted the fishing vessel stranding 2.5 hours before it happened. So this suggests that in an operational scenario, the model could have identified the vessel as high risk and alerted the relevant authorities in time for them to respond. So the main result here is the model's successful prediction highlights its operational value in timely maritime incident response. And we're now looking into performing further validation by carrying out a live demonstration involving the Coast Guard in Mauritius, which will be discussed later in the presentation. Next slide, please. So in summary, I've shown here some of the advanced capabilities of the tool, and which are designed to deliver critical insights to end users in an efficient way. So in short, there's a lot of data to analyze, and for a typical user of this tool, we want to give them the most relevant and critical information to act on. I'll now hand over to Rafaela, who will share the impact of the project and some of the positive feedback received about the tool during our recent visit to Mauritius. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Max. Right, so I have to say it was a little bit overwhelming preparing the slides you are looking at, which is an incomplete mosaic of many of the impacts generated, lots of activities conducted during the last 2 years. And I have to say it was quite hard to collect all this information to make this nice mosaic. So I'll probably start from the data grant. NEREUS has been possible thanks to a very large, generous amount of satellite data provided by different agency and commercial providers, including the European Space Agency, the UK Space Agency, JAXA, Capella Space, Satellite View, for a value of more than 2 and 3 millions of dollars. We have used this data for the development and the validation of the tools you have seen. But it's also important to say that in this way, we managed to build the largest data sets of satellite radar images ever acquired and collected over the Mauritius Exclusive Economic Zone, which remains a useful record of data for the community for any future studies or any validation well beyond NEREUS. The NEREUS has also worked, as we mentioned at the beginning, very closely with the people for which the solution was designed from the very beginning with the first workshop prepared by the MRC in January 2023 till the very last trip a few weeks ago, in which we like a meeting again with the Albion Fisheries Research Centre, with the National Coast Guard, which is also represented here today. Everyone played an incredibly important role. We met with local ministries, governmental bodies, the university group. Thanks, Monta, for being with us today, and her colleagues. Everyone really trying to help us in designing the solution, which also explained the importance of the partnership in this project. We have trained people. We were absolutely keen on designing, developing, and delivering the training because we know how important the educational aspects is. I'll speak a little bit more later on what happens when we find instead skepticism about technological solutions like space-based solutions. We have designed 3 components for the building capacity program, which was offered to the Mauritius community, but also worldwide. And we managed to train more than 150 people, 50 of which coming from the Mauritius community. But Mauritius was not our only target. Very soon, very early in the project, we kept in mind the challenge of the scalability, and we wanted to make sure that conversation about the scale up started from the beginning of the project. This is the reason why, apart the local events, we also organize our participation to international events, from scientific conference to space weeks, to make sure we could reach as many people as possible, and as many people as possible were aware of NEREUS and what we were going to achieve. This allows us to work also on a variety of deliverables in the project. The final ones will be 22 to our due next week, but we have managed to successfully submit and complete 20, all about IU in the different aspects. So the quantification of the extent, the economic aspects, the design of the solutions, the catch indicators, and more. And we are also people that like celebrating things, and we always make sure that when it was not possible to reach people in person, we were there to celebrate all important days, from Earth Day to Women and Girls in Science, to Women's Day, to Educational Day, Innovation Days. We made sure that NEREUS was present in social platforms or wherever it was required by the community. This was just the beginning, I would say, but what has been really important during the past 2 years was an ability to enable. So an ability to have this wide conversation with the local stakeholders and to translate the impact we were witnessing in a language that everyone could understand. And this is important for the future of the project and its sustainability, understanding all these different aspects. So if I had to summarize what I see as at the present, but what I see as even more important in the next months, I can see with confidence that NEREUS is touching a lot of different areas, which goes from economics to management of resources, to policies, to society and education, and to the environment. In terms of economics, the simple conservative estimate of returning $31 to the Mauritius community for $1 single dollar of investment in the tool, of course, provided the information the tool is unveiling is actioned upon, was an important message passed to all the authorities during the past months and in the last trip to Mauritius. Max has in depth explained the benefits of generating dark heat maps. And we see this as an important tool exactly to not only inform about the extent of the problem, but also, as said, to have a better understanding of the economic recovery possible, because certainly there is economic recovery due to the fact that we are not allowing some losses anymore if we are acting upon the information provided by the tool. But there is a huge economic saving thanks to the fact that the national resources could be better deployed, which is another important aspect. And of course, a few other figures that are relevant. Consider the possibility of transforming the fines from contravention to another income from the country, but hopefully these things will happen even less. As I mentioned, there is then an impact on economics, an impact on management of resources, but there is an impact on policies as well. One of the things we made sure was, as I said, speaking with all the different stakeholders, and we visited our colleagues in the Indian Ocean Rim Association at the beginning of our project, but also at the end in our last trip. And it was nice to have this brainstorming together, understanding how NEREUS could actually be part of the activities that IURA is guiding in combating IU fishing. So, for example, imagine how heat maps, dark heat maps like this, could become a requisite for every country year after year to understand the effectiveness of the policies introduced, because we would love to see this dark hotspot decreasing and decreasing year by year. But how do you measure the effectiveness of policies unless you have a robust tool that is able to measure that as well? And this is another application of NEREUS, which of course we didn't imagine at the beginning, but has become clearer and clearer the more we were advancing with the technological development. Of course, we have spoken with the university, and it was nice in the last trip to also consider how this project could become a continuous opportunity to learn. So we definitely need something well beyond the 3 trainings delivered, which of course remained available to everyone, but it's important to think of NEREUS as a tool that is also able to train. And we had a conversation about the possibility to even design university courses, master. At the moment in Surrey, NEREUS has already become a university lecture. And we hope that with this ability to touch all these different areas can become a great example of lectures in multidisciplinary lectures and educational path. As mentioned at the beginning, when pointing you to the innovation achieved, we are not environmental scientists, but we identified a potential in reaching also environmental policies through the tool itself. We identified gaps in the policies. One I mentioned at the beginning was the way the catch limit was established by the Indian Ocean Committee, essentially looking at fishery-dependent data, but without including the catch that is due to an IU component, which automatically means that the limits we are setting might probably be too high because we are completely ignoring another important component. So we know that in this way, NEREUS can also enable a quicker recovery from an environmental perspective. I would also like to start now our discussion about replication and scalability for the project. I will start with the geographical scale up and then hand over to Vikram for his contribution. And then I will start again looking into a few other aspects that could be developing in future. One of the ambitions that NEREUS had from the very beginning is to, yes, of course, being tested and validated in a region. This is normal standard procedure when you develop a space-based tool or general for research at the university. If you have to go to an operational environment, the first things you do is to validate what you have done initially in a lab, and then you go to the real environment. That's normal procedure. But we understand that the threat of IU is not local only. And this is a threat unfortunately shared by a lot of other countries in the Indian Ocean and elsewhere. And thanks to the fact that this aspect was already with us, this awareness was already with us from the beginning, the tool has been developed in a way that does not limit its applicability, has not been designed to work in Mauritius only. Yes, has been tailored for Mauritius communities to make sure that, for example, its first transfer to a surveillance platform was Skylight because they were using mainly Skylight. But the way the tool works can definitely go into a lot of other platforms and work in a lot of other countries. Those partnerships with the Indian Ocean Rim Association, for example, allowed us to understand a knowledge we did not have, which was about which are the regions to prioritize once the tool was tested in Mauritius. And the conversation helped in identifying the Seychelles, Madagascar, Indonesia, and Malaysia as an area of interest. But we also started speaking with the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office to understand where also they have difficulties in areas related to IU fishing. And Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh also came to the discussion. I had the privilege to meet with the UK Shadow Minister for Climate and Net Zero 2 days ago, Ms. Kerry McCarthy, and she also pointed how important it would be to test NEREUS in the UK Blue Belt. So not only in the Channel, of course, and the EEZ, but in all other territories. I would like to hand over Vikram for a discussion about the sustainability plan in Mauritius, and then I will cover instead what we hope to have a sustainability plan beyond Mauritius. Over to you, Vikram.
Thank you, Rafaela. So I'd like you to please put on the next slide. Yeah, so as I said in my introductory speech, Mr. Muta
Sorry.
has a question. Can we take the question now? Or?
Yeah, it is more a comment rather than a question, a remark rather. I just wanted to point out that the EEZ displayed, some of the EEZs that were displayed in the maps were not recognized by the government of Mauritius. So these should be corrected out.
All right. So we've sent the MRIC sent you an email requesting to have the correct map of the EEZ. So we'd be grateful if you could send over so that we could replicate it in the project. Thank you, Mr. Muta. Yeah, so I was saying that in our first in my introductory speech, I pointed out that Mauritius is new to space and space data applications. And our first realization was we put for the first time a satellite in space, as I told you. And the second real realization now is NEREUS. So I cannot specify, I cannot put more emphasis on the importance of this project. Through, as Rafaela said, the contribution of the MRIC was to connect Rafaela and her team to the relevant stakeholders. But it was not only that, it was to raise awareness on our government institution on how important space research, space data research is for a small island developing state in Mauritius. So we have been dealing a lot with the Ministry of Fisheries, who has helped us, the Prime Minister's office. We've been talking to the National Coast Guard, and we got to know, as Rafaela mentioned, that the National Coast Guard is currently using the Skylight platform. So one of our objectives is to try to see if we could sort of connect NEREUS with Skylight. And the discussions are going on with Skylight, which are seem to be positive. We will be having a meeting tonight itself to see where we can collaborate. So, and we, through the different meetings we've had when Rafaela was here, with the National Coast Guard, the official support from the ministries, all the relevant stakeholders here fully support the project. So I think this is a real encouragement for us to pursue further in this direction. And especially when we talk to the relevant authorities about what the potential economic recovery could be when we bring this NEREUS tool into the country, this really was much appreciated, because as Rafaela mentioned, there is still scarce calculation or evaluation on the impact of economic loss through IUU for the Republic of Mauritius. And I could imagine this could be the same thing in other small island developing states. So NEREUS brought another new aspect, new innovation. And during the discussions, we also talked with the Defense and Home Affairs of the PMO. And we were all sort of hinted that this type of thinking which NEREUS brings could potentially open up new areas for research and development in how to use space technology, space data, to better advise government, especially in terms of defense and security. I think the cherry on the cake would be a live demonstration with the participation of the main stakeholders. And we will be starting with the National Coast Guard. Everything is set. We are in the process of defining a common set of dates where all the our colleagues from the NCG would be available to carry out a live test. And this, I think, will add another convincing point on to help us encourage government to consider this tool as an additional tool together with all the existing tools we have to combat IUU. Furthermore, we've just heard our colleague from the Department of Continental Shelf and Maritime Zone Administration and Exploration, where we've had a long discussion with the team, and there are very, very interesting avenues for collaboration, especially as our colleague Dr. Mota mentioned, in terms of the specific zones which are recognized by Mauritius. Finally, thanks to all our disseminations, the involvement of our own parent minister, Honorable Bagobin, and our Minister of Fisheries, Honorable Modu, there has been, I think, at least 2 or 3 media coverage, be it on national TV, be it on different radios, magazines. Again, this, in my opinion, raises awareness on the Mauritian population at large for what space and satellite data can do for Mauritius. Overall, I think Mauritius, thanks to the new space era, we are starting to discover that based on our unique geostrategic position, based on our unique extent of EEZ, we could write our own sort of paradigm on how to exploit space data in a sustainable and peaceful way. And I think this project has really, really helped us open up new avenues, and I'm all very optimistic that we will progress. So thank you very much. So Rafaela, over to you.
Thanks very much, Vikram. So I'll, conscious about time, so we will go through some ideas we have for the sustainability plans in Mauritius and beyond. As mentioned, we were very much concerned about the technological development, which is all about this area here. So how to put together this satellite data in a meaningful way so that we could produce actionable information for local authorities. But this link here can really become whatever we want, if you like. So we started thinking and looking at how important it is, for example, to include the insurance sector, the financial sector in our conversation for a real solution to the problem of IU. Because if on one side we want to better manage the EZ, we want to better deploy our resources and track industrial fisheries, on the other side we should start thinking of how to compensate artisanal fisheries and the community which is affected by IU. So there's a lot of discussion nowadays in the remote sensing community about how remote sensing data and products could be used as evidence for prosecution purposes, and definitely could be used for evidence, for example, to improve due diligence checks, or to design, in this case, one of the ideas we had, parametric insurance product that could compensate artisanal fisheries once defined threshold of catch in an area is due to industrial fisheries is achieved. But also, we mentioned earlier the introduction of fishery independent catch indicators that could better inform on the stock health. And this is another potential development that the tool can have. We already know how to better quantify the catch itself, but it would be nice if the tool itself could do it in an automatic way. We want to make sure NEREUS could be used by anyone. And NEREUS comes free in terms of software. Our work, or everything we develop has been funded by the Ocean Innovation Challenge. We really would like this transfer of the tool on as many platforms as possible. We have discussed Skylight, as Vikram said. We had a lot of conversation with them, another meeting tonight, to see what next steps could enable this transfer. But there's no limit to where NEREUS could go, and there are a few other platforms with similar but different efforts which could all benefit from the NEREUS functionalities and workflows. There is an important effort still already going on the technology readiness level advancement. So we have tested NEREUS in labs, in real environments in terms of satellite data. We would like to help local authorities and local stakeholders in building their confidence even more. And we have thought of a real scenario and a live demo where vessels from the National Coast Guard can mimic a sort of IU sailing pattern that we could track with the AIS and satellite data, exactly to provide evidence of what Max was presenting in terms of ability to predict a trajectory, ability to predict the position of a vessel, so that this information could also be used for prosecution purposes. I would like to spend this last minute and then hand over to Hamed for an open discussion to summarize the main challenge we have encountered, but also all lessons learned and recommendations which we hope could be useful and should be kept in mind for any scale up of the project. Anytime we work with satellite data monitoring system, there is general skepticism in the communities that are going to benefit from the technology, and this might prevent or not support fully the innovation buy-in. And this is where education plays a very important role, becoming imperative in its ability to inform about the benefits, really the tangible benefits of space technology for the society. That's something we should keep in mind. Because it's a project heavily based on data of different form, mainly satellite, but we'll see even more, not just satellite data. The access to satellite data, the access to data in general, should be reconsidered. So we are working with developing countries. We have policies on open source satellite data everywhere, but these are limited. So sometimes satellite data is available free of charge, that is true. But what you could do with the data available is limited, because I don't just archive data acquired in the past, but for example, there's nothing available to developing countries in terms of tasking, which is what we need for real-time surveillance. We notice that this is particularly true for developing countries, not only in terms of access to the data in tasking work, but also in terms of coverage. So developed countries normally share the majority of the quota of the data, and little is left to developing countries. So even when we had the tasking option, it could be there's now a quota left to cover these countries. We met with the director of NOSA, Ms. Arti, to discuss exactly this aspect, because we think we can design, develop the best of technology, but if we do not have policies in place to enable the use of this technology, every effort in that direction is useless. So this is another important effort that needs to take place. And another important aspects we notice, another challenge, if you like, is that the sharing of data is not obvious. So data, especially with the policies we have in place today, the sharing of data is considered a difficult sort of threat in some context, and this is also important. This also explains the importance of education. This conversation needs to happen very early in projects like NEREUS, because otherwise the risk is that anything is shared only at the end, while instead it should be at the beginning. In terms of lesson learned and recommendations, this project wouldn't have been possible without the important connecting role that the MRC had. The community of local stakeholders is fundamental. We need to make sure that people are aware of what is happening and also have their input in what is happening, because otherwise the likelihood of success remains very low. Or, for example, you waste time without the input of the National Coast Guard and the local authorities on which areas were important because they saw action there. We would have tasked the satellite in completely different areas. So it was also enabling us to do our work much better. At the same time, we know that is the political will to implement the final solution. And politician needs evidence, of course. This evidence is better understood, at least in our experience, when we translate it in economic figures and economic impact. We made all our effort to have a user-friendly product, but economic estimates always need to accompany this other kind of evidence. It was important to keep conversations really at every level, constant, without ever leaving anyone behind, especially with the project sites growing. We felt the overwhelming aspect of communications, of keeping everyone informed. And I think from a practical perspective, deciding of having specific channels for particular communication was a successful thing to do. We had a LinkedIn channel, which we used to reach everyone in the world. We had WhatsApp groups to speak quickly between us, and we use emails for formal communication to authorities. We also experienced from the first workshop that sometimes there was the challenge of working in silos, and there was also a need to connect the stakeholders among them, not just to connect with them, but also to connect them. This was important to make sure they were all contributed together in an harmonic way. Otherwise, there is a risk that a few might be left behind, and they might behave more as a threat to the project than really as a contributor. I spoke a lot about sustainability plans and how important to us was to have these plans in mind from very early stage. We felt that this allowed the design of a more agile solution, able to look into different problems, not just the one we were assigned with this particular project, but also the flexibility we had from the beginning. Thanks to these sustainability plans, I think is now enabling those other aspects of impacts I mentioned. And I would like also to one more time stress the importance of policies. NEREUS started from identifying a gap in policies and now is going back to policies. This is reinforcing the motivation and is also reinforcing the achievable impact. And this is the end of our presentation about NEREUS. I hope we are good on time and would like to hand over Ahmed. Thanks really again, everyone contributed to the project, and thanks particularly the Ocean Innovation Challenge and all its members to being a fantastic mentoring group, without which we wouldn't have been able to achieve what we have achieved. Over to you, Ahmed.
Yeah, thank you, Rafaela, and thanks, Bikram, for this presentation and for the discussion and the lessons learned. And the floor is open for any comments, any questions from the floor. Is there any questions? Anyway, I think, in my point of view, the sustainability plan that you mentioned, Rafaela, and also Vikram, on the local, on Mauritius, needs a lot of work still. It's what we call a broad lines about what can be done to sustain, but I think it needs a lot of effort to have a tangible results to keep this system alive and to keep it going and be utilized. And one of it, I think, at least in Mauritius, it will be I think the Mauritius Institute or the Mauritius Innovation Center needs to play a role in trying to convince the authorities, the local authorities, on the importance of using this technology in monitoring IUU fishing, and at least to have some preliminary indication what is the amount of IUU fishing, where it happened, and this can guide the authorities to track and tackle these areas and try to verify, even maybe, as I said, maybe the technology needs refinement. Let us use it and see if it needs refinement, because the more data you will enter to these models, the more accurate results you will get. So this is a very important aspect, but as you mentioned, the political will is very, very important. That the buy-in from the different authorities, and I think this will be maybe we have a very limited time remaining in the project, but I think Vikram and his team can keep working with the different authorities to try to keep this system alive and running in Mauritius. As for the outside, the other countries, I think this will be the role of the Surrey Space Centre, is through their network on international network and their connection with donors and with other entities, to try to replicate this model in other countries, and try also to refine the model and to refine the results and keep the research going to reach more accurate and precise results. This is my main comment about the project, but I would like to thank all of you for this results that we reached based on the limited information we have in hand, and and I hope this can be refined and fine-tuned in the future with the more data inputs. And this is all from our side, from UNDP. If anyone has any comments or otherwise, I will hand over to Vikram to close the meeting.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Rafaela, and all the stakeholders who have listened, attended this meeting. I think it was a real pleasure to work with you, Ahmed, and your team, Mary, Mari, Teen, etc. And it was a great adventure. And please rest assured that our efforts is to continue working with the authorities here in Mauritius to push the space agenda. And NEREUS is definitely a strong booster to our initiative. And as just mentioned, we are going to carry out a simulation with the National Coast Guard, and hopefully with the results we will obtain, this will add another another let's say
confidence
to our effort. Yeah. So we are also in talks with the Continental Shelf team, and they also showed great interest. So we will explore in this field. But again, we have the MRIC team now has two good friends from Surrey, Rafaela and Max. We are in close contact and open to future research and innovation, which now we have known this small but interesting group of people in Mauritius. And as we have talked with them, we have always engaged them and tried to sort of solicit their attention for research using space and satellite data. But so we hope I am very optimistic. So with these words, Ahmed, Rafaela, Max, and all our colleagues who are in this meeting today, I'd like to thank you, and again congratulate Rafaela, Max, and ourselves, all our team, for this great work. And we look forward to positive outcomes again. Thanks a lot. Thanks to UNDP, and thanks to the MRIC and our ministry for giving us the opportunity to work here. Thank you very much. So I'll end the meeting here. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.